So I'm currently in conversation with two people, and it's basically about the same thing. But these two people are in fact poles apart, and it made me think about this. But what I want to do is kind of try to give you a pearl of wisdom, or at least a pearl that I think is a pearl of wisdom. And of course, whenever you do something like that, chances are is most people are just going to tread it into the ground. And that pearl is, if you have an idea, build a model of it. There is such a huge difference between how you think of things and how things actually respond in the real world. Now, one of these people has built a model, and so I'm very supportive and I'm doing my best to help her because she's built a model. Another guy has had an idea, presumably in his bath, and scribbled it on the back of a piece of paper, and I'm very unhelpful to him, I think, or at least I think he's finding me unhelpful, because I told him to build a model. And what you get when you say to people, build a model, is a list of excuses. I have no skills. That would be really expensive. Yeah, but I've got to learn this, this, and this. And then what you also find is people like that complain how nobody would help them. And to be honest, why would anybody help you? I mean, if you can't be bothered to get up and suffer a little bit, learn those skills, find a way of doing it, why would anybody else do that for you? It's so important to do it. I mean, let's take an example. I don't have the skills. Well, learn them. That's what you're going to do. I don't have the money. Now, we're not really talking about something like this. The intern that I admire so much built her model from cardboard. I mean, it's probably old cereal packets and she probably spent about 20 quid. But what's so admirable is she built a model, and that's the whole point. When you do something, normally you find a way, and complicated models can be made out of garbage. It's really about finding a way to do it, not saying you can't do it right from the start. To be honest, it's really not that expensive these days. I mean, it's one of the reasons I love a 3D printer. What you've got is a toolkit in a box. I mean, the thing costs anywhere between £100 and £1,000. It depends which one you get, but you can start off incredibly cheaply. And people then say, oh yeah, but you've got to learn so much about 3D printers. And actually, they're really not that difficult. And yes, you have to learn how to do them. And if you can't be bothered to learn how to do them, why would you even bother trying to ask people for help? You can't help yourself. How are you expecting other people to help you? Now, of course, all of these things do require a bit of pain and a little bit of suffering. Yes, they do. That's how you learn. You learn by doing something, failing, picking yourself up, and repeating it without the same mistakes. You just repeat it with different mistakes, and that's how learning progresses. So you'll learn all that you need to know. Because as you build the model, you'll realize that there's a difference between theory and practice. And another thing people often say is that the theory is very complicated. And I suppose it is, really. I mean, let's take the theory of generation, where we all know that the EMF is equal to BLV sine theta, where B is the strength of the magnetic field, L is the length of the wire, V is the velocity at which it turns, and sine theta is the angle at which the wire cuts the magnetic field. Now, that is a summation of observations. It doesn't rule it. People have done thousands of experiments over many years and put that together to say, oh look, if we do this, this and this happens. It's a law only in the sense that it's been discovered from observing what really happens. It doesn't work the other way around. You can't do something in a law and force the world to happen. The world happens and you can formulate it into a law. Now, if you build a model, you'll pretty quickly discover that if you put the magnets closer together, you'll get a higher voltage generated. Why? Well, magnetic field is the inverse of the square of the distance. That is, the closer together they get, the stronger the magnetic field. And if you remember EMF equals a BLV sine theta, B is the strength of magnetic field. You're making the magnetic field stronger just by putting them together, closer together. You get a higher voltage and output. It's not that difficult. It's difficult to go from one way, that is the theory, to the practice. There's actually a piece of cake to go from the practice to the theory. It takes you no time at all to understand. You put them close together, it works better. When you have something that you can latch onto, that is real experience, then suddenly that law, that equation, that theory becomes much more sensible to you because it has a framework in which it can work. Now, of course, putting them closer together is only one aspect of it. What would happen if you turned it faster? Well, you'll soon notice if you turn it faster, you'll get a higher voltage, BLV sine theta. Now, BLV sine theta isn't governing that. It is summating experience that previous experimenters have had. Now, you can shortcut to a degree that experience, if you like, by studying the theory, but you can't replace it because the theory gives you one way of trying to understand something. Experience, I think, gives you a much more personal, in-depth way of actually experiencing something. And of course, there is that difference between when you build something in the world and when you build something in your mind. They respond differently because of real-world forces. And so you'll learn pretty quickly. When you build something, if you do something like magnetic bearings, for instance, you reduce the friction, and so the whole thing will spin much longer, just because you've taken friction out of the equation, or a degree of friction out of the equation. And that will give you a better result, and you can experience that and learn that for yourself by building the thing. It just is so important to try to build a model. So, the intern who's building that model and asking me questions as they go along, actually, I don't even answer the questions. I insist they tell me what they think so that I can have a look at what they think and make suggestions in the way their thought processes are going that will hopefully help them. But the onus, the responsibility for getting something out there, if you're the inventor, is you. Nobody, but nobody, is going to care if you have an idea. We all have ideas. Ideas come all the time. But turning an idea into reality is a huge job that is a world apart from just the idea. So this pearl of wisdom, build a model, is really one of the most important things. If you say to yourself, I can't do that because of X, Y, and Z, well, actually, that's fair enough, but stop daydreaming that you're going to do it. If you say that you can't do it because of X, Y, and Z, then you just can't do it. If you want to do it, then you're going to have to learn skills, acquire tools, do the practice, and then you'll actually do it. If you don't want to do those things, honestly, don't expect other people to do that for you. There is no reason they should. Anyway, I hope this was of interest. I hope it helps people in their own thoughts, because it is so important. If you want to do something, get out of your chair and do it.
Now, your immediate reaction to all of that might be, what a waste of 7 minutes, what a load of BS, that's no help at all. I don't even know where to start. Well, you start with what's ever stopping you. I don't know what that is, it could be anything, but that's where you start. So let's say, for instance, you want to 3D print, and for that, you need to learn a CAD program. And you say to yourself, yeah, CAD programs, they're so difficult. They need a lot of learning. Well, I suppose they do, really. But the answer clearly is to get up and learn a CAD program. And yeah, it might be difficult, but what you find is when you start something, it's never as difficult as you thought it would be. In fact, learning a CAD program isn't what's stopping you. It's the fear of learning a CAD program is what's stopping you. And that's always the way of it. It's always the fear of the thing. Because when you get up and do something, what you actually find is it was never as difficult as you were afraid it would be. It's always the fear of a thing. And you rationalize that into excuses like it's difficult to learn, or I don't have the money, or whatever it is that you rationalise it by, but it always is the fear of it. That thing about making models from garbage, we've done tons of videos making models of all descriptions, from things like empty baked bean cans with a pair of scissors. There's always a way. Okay, it may not be the best way, but you will acquire skills, knowledge, information and tools as you go along. You're never going to do the perfect job immediately. You have to expect failure, and you have to expect to learn from that failure. But the biggest thing is the fear of doing it. Anyway, I hope it wasn't a waste of 10 minutes of your time. I hope you did find it useful. Thank you very much for watching, and please do remember to like and subscribe.